Good morning, viewers at home. Welcome to the program SuperDawn. I am Vera Osopo with you on this edition of the program, but I'm not alone.
As usual, it's Blessed Omono. It's so good to be here this morning. I actually missed yesterday's edition. Well, I'm grateful to God I'm here this morning. Good morning, Lagos, and good morning wherever you're watching us from. This is the Tuesday edition of SuperDawn. Blessed Omono reporting for duty this morning.
Well, you were busy yesterday. You wouldn't blame you, sort of. Well, I am Anthony Osai Bobo, and this is SuperDawn. I'm here with my fellow legendary.
These words this morning.
Because it's just, you know, it depends on how you take someone, and that's just the way I rate you.
Okay, thank you. I'm blushing, starting this blush every morning. Anyway, it's going to be very interesting this morning as usual. Yesterday, we had a guest that I almost wanted to tell him, hey, this is not done on SuperDawn. You know, it's a done, and we are educating people. Young ones are watching. So if you come in here as a guest, you must watch your utterances, your comment, even when you want to analyze. I understand that Nigerians aren't happy. They're not getting some of them are not getting what they expected. But if you're referring to someone or group of persons' effort, at least put a little bit of respect and regard. We expect the callers here, even our guests, to understand that there are ethics to our jobs, and you must just follow it. And if you're calling, it's a phoning program. If you're calling, please don't use the wrong choice. Otherwise, we'll knock you off. That's just it. So I want you to call, but watch your utterances. I know that people are angry, but call in and make sure you want to prefer a solution. I want to feel the anger, but I don't want you to use the wrong choice of words. It's not accepted on this show. I hope that's gotten now. But today we're going to do something very interesting. Election is around the bend, and we're looking at election rigging, the causes, effects, and solutions. It means that we will need some of your contributions this morning in this program. Well, politicians, political analysts, general public, they're finding it difficult to actually define rigging. But a lot of times you see that rigging, it's something that I call it fraud, because someone is trying to take what does not belong to the person by force. And it's affecting a lot of lives, and it's affecting the future. So today we're going to be looking at election rigging. Election rigging, the causes, effects, and solutions. And we want you to be part of this edition today. It's going to be interesting. The phone lines will be open, and you can call us, and also you can watch us live on YouTube. What you need to do is just go straight to Super Screen space, you tap your space button, then live TV. So you can watch and you can call on this show. Once again, good morning to you. And what we do on this show to start the program is to read the papers. So we have some of the papers here this morning. And so we're going to take some of the stories and allow you call in to tell us your views concerning the story. So we'll go on this break. When we come back, the newspaper review segment will be on. Welcome back. It's the newspaper review segment, and this one we want to start with the Punch newspaper. This says here, PDP and Falana fly federal government as police shoots at shades protesters and arrest 115. And the writer says sheds injured 22 policemen, the PPRO of Police EXO. Yes, this happened in Abuja. Fortunately, I must say that I was in Abuja. I entered Abuja that morning, and also lots of people, I didn't know they were there to protest. Lots of people that Saturday morning around the Maitama area where I was going to, because I was moving to Mina from Abuja that morning. And lots of people, even the airport, you see lots of people traveling. I didn't know that this was the cause.
Well, I guess the Shiites are very proactive with what they believe in, who they believe in. That's why all these things happened. And we need that strength in Nigerians. But I always say that we should not encourage protests that are violent. I think we just need peaceful protests. We don't need a loss of lives. These are 22 officers from the nations here. It says 22 officers actually.
Okay,
and
but
from yours, it's
I've not read the story yet. I want to read the story. I'm just asking you your take.
No,
yes.
I feel that the detention of El Zakzaki is long overdue. If the federal government has accused him of something, let them do the necessary thing. If they are going to probe him, let them probe him. But keeping him for this long is okay. But
let's read this. Let me read this. Let me read this. Scores of members of the Islamic movement of Nigeria were injured on Monday in Abuja during a clash with policemen at the Maitama area of the city. It was gathered that the police arrested 115 Shiite members who were protesting against the continued incarceration of their leader, that's the Ibrahim El Zakzaki, by the federal government. The protesters had moved to the National Human Rights Commission, where the police stooped on them and fired tear gas at them to break up the protest. I'm going to read what the PPR of police says here. The Federal Capital Territory Police spokesman Manzan said that the protesters destroyed police vehicles and injured 22 policemen. He added that 115 Shiite members were arrested, could be taken to court. He explained that the routers attacked residents and smart vehicles, windscreens, noting that the police recovered catapults, iron bars, stones, balls, bearings, and pink headbands from them. But I'll read what some of the person is saying here. The PDP calls for inquest. On Monday, demanded that the immediate inquest into the violent clash between the security forces and members of the Shiite movement should be taken. The party, in a statement by its National Publicity Secretary, Mr. Kola, in Abuja, said it was gravely worried over the handling of the security in the nation's capital and the near breakdown of law and order, which said it resulted to a stampede and disruption of public and private business in the city. Also, Falano has this to say. The human rights lawyer, Mr. Femi Falano, condemned the attack on Shiites. Falano was the detainee's lawyer who on December 2nd, 2016, obtained the judgment of the federal government and Federal High Court in Abuja, ordering some members released from the custody of the state security services. But I have this to say. From the Nigerian intervention movement, they slammed Buhari. The Nigerian intervention movement also criticized the Buhari-led federal government for the harassment of these people. The NIM, which is healed by the former president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Dr. Olise Abakubasan, and the former presidential candidate, Dr. Abdul Jalai Tafawa Balewa, said it would hold a rally in that solidarity. So people didn't like the fact that police came in to interrupt the protest, because it was said that it was a peaceful protest. But can there be a country in a country? Can there be two leaders in a country?
It's not possible.
That's it. Can there be two leaders in a country?
I think that if a protest is peaceful enough and it's just it's obvious, I think it's only right that their voice should be heard. Let them do whatever they came to do, and at the end of the day, their voices are heard, they evacuate the place. I mean, for the police to come in with tear gas and all of that, straight to mere citizens without arms, I feel it's only wrong.
I know that because I saw them, but at that period I saw them in Abuja that morning. Lots of buses, you know, if you were in Abuja, I was in Abuja in the morning, that morning. Lots of people everywhere, and I thought they were having something, maybe an event. I didn't know that until I began to hear it that day. The protest. I thought they were there for an event. Muslims, they covered their faces and all of that. And I didn't know that it was a protest, but there were loads of people there, loads of people there. But I think they shouldn't have reacted that way. It was a peaceful protest. And if the government says they do not want you in a particular area, you need to obey the government.
Yeah, exactly.
But is it good, the question now, is it good to detain someone without persecution, without, you just detain the person?
And that's why I said,
I really don't get that.
That's why I said earlier on that the detention is taking too long a time. Let them, if this man has committed an offense, prosecute him and let's know his fate than keeping him for this long.
Okay, we also have this story. Politicians preoccupied with elections, but security economy bothers me. President Muhammadu Buhari on Monday said Nigerian politicians were currently preoccupied with the 2019 election matters. He, however, said, unlike other politicians, the nation's security and economy were what concerned him. According to a statement by Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, Mr. Femi Adesina, the president made his position known at the bilateral meeting he had with the British Prime Minister Theresa May at the 10th Downing Street, London, as part of his ongoing official visit to the United Kingdom. So what bothers the president is security and economy. That should bother him, really.
Of course,
right
it should be a front burner of his administration. I strongly believe that if truly these issues, security and the economy, bothers him, let's see what he can be able to achieve between now and 2019.
I think running for a second term right now should not be his priority. It should not be, even if he has the intention. It's only right that right now you are still in power, you're still on the seat. It's only right that you do what is meant to be done, what is in your manifesto. And if the Nigerians are right about you not fulfilling what you have promised, it's only right that this short period of time, you use that time to prove yourself, prove your credibility as the president of Nigeria.
Okay. Let's see how it goes, really. We also have this in the papers. Secondos received 250 million from Dansuki for special duties. This came in from the EFCC. The chairman of the People Democratic Party, Uche Secondos, allegedly received 250 million from the Office of the National Security Advisor under the leadership of the embattled former NSA Colonel Sambo Dasuki, retired, and Economic Financial Crimes Commission's report has said. We also have this. We are producing lazy professors on the 7 PhD holders. It came in from the ex-VC. The former Vice Chancellor of the Michael Okpara University of Agriculture, Abia State, Professor Ikenna Onyedu, has raised an alarm at the rate Nigerians university are chunking out what he called lazy professor.
Definitely. It's I must say in Nigeria we have lots of brilliant professors, but at the same time I would say there are some professors, because I went to the uni, I've had friends that have complained about their professors, and I would not say Nigerians are filled with more of lazy professors. Okay, when he means lazy, it depends on what he means by lazy. I feel we have lots of intelligent professors, but maybe the Nigerian system or the pay or the salary or the situation of the country is making our professors not put in as much work as they ought to. And I feel that's actually correct. When you go to schools, you go to universities, what you expect from these professors, the kind of knowledge, the kind of attention, the kind of mentoring which you deserve, which you clamor for from these professors, you don't really get. So I think it's only right that the schools should put a check on this, and we also need to grade the people which people which were given the title, the doctorate degree, the degree. Is it a degree? No, professorship is not a degree. Give me the word.
It's a degree now.
Is it a degree?
Yeah,
it's a degree.
It's a degree. Yeah. Okay. Before you are given a degree, I think it's only right that you're being well checked. That's it.
It's all about our system, if you ask me. The question here should be: do we have enough system to checkmate how far these professors attain this?
Are they grounded?
Are they grounded? So
that's very important.
I want to link that comment to the professor who is asking for sex for mark to a particular student. It really baffles me why a professor of such pedigree
demean himself,
would just have to do such
himself.
a thing. It's really appalling.
Debase himself.
Really, really appalling.
For that kind of attitude. But let's have this story, and it's very interesting. It says here, Fayemi gets leave of absence to contest Ekiti APC governorship primaries. The Minister of Solid Minerals, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, has secured the permission of the President to contest the Ekiti State governorship primaries of the All Progressive Congress. The Punch has learned. Already it was gathered that the former governor of the state had been granted leave of absence to enable him to do campaigning for the primary schedule for May 5th. Now Fayemi want to go back to state.
Now the question on our mind is, what is he going back there for? What did
he wants to be the governor of the state again.
The government house that is going back for. See, we keep having issues in our political system because we find out that those who have ruled us before and we are able to perform, no scorecards able to checkmate what they've done in time past, are still coming back again. It really baffles me and makes me want to ask.
Is it not his right to come back?
Well, it is right to come back.
It's his right if he wants to. Anybody wants to. Anybody wants to do it, yeah. Go ahead.
Fayose took over, and right now, all through Fayose's tenure, he was always saying Fayose is doing this, he's not doing this. They've been this. It's like there's this blame game or this controversy between him and Fayose where they've been trading words. Like, you are this, I'm better, you are this. You understand? And I think it's only, when you go to Ekiti, you know that people say things about Fayose and say good things about Fayemi. So it's like a 50-50 thing. They both have good and bad, according to people from Ekiti. So when he is just looking at you like, okay, this is what Fayose is not doing, and I want to come into power.
But there are lots of people there in Ekiti. I know Ekiti, lots of people in Ekiti. They are very brilliant people.
Fact.
But maybe he feels, hey, I didn't give them enough. I'm coming to give you more. And some people are saying, what are you coming to do again? Why not try other people? But anyway, we just take this last story from the Punch. That will move away from the Punch to the Vanguard. We have this one. Nigeria have lost confidence in the military. Monarch tells army panel.
All right, we'll leave it at that. We'll leave it at that.
I don't know why Nigerians have lost confidence in the military. Lots of things have been happening in Nigeria, and some people are saying, we know that the military can tackle these insecurity challenges. Certainly. But why the slow motion? Why the millipede style? Why are they not doing it? Why are they just clean everybody and let's know that, hey, remember what Obasanjo did during the day, What is happening here? But anyway, let's move to another paper, the Vanguard.
All right, we're leaving it at that. And the Vanguard this morning, El Zakzaki, 7 fair dead Ashite security agent clash. You can find that on the Vanguard this morning. And still on the Vanguard, the top part of the paper, I am bothered about security, economy, not politics. Buhari tells PM May. You can find that on page 4 of the Vanguard newspaper. Fresh herdsmen attack, claim 36 in Benue, Nasarawa. And let me quickly just take that story. Gunmen suspected to be herdsmen have again killed at least 36 persons in Benue and Nasarawa states. The 4 persons killed in local government area of Benue State were police officers, while 11 others were declared missing after an ambush were laid for the policemen by the herdsmen on Sunday evening and yesterday morning, still on the same herdsmen attack. And I'm just wondering, asking myself, what is the state of the security of these areas? Over and over and over again, we still have fresh and reprisal attacks in this same area. And I'm wondering if the security agents that have been posted to secure lives and properties in these areas, if they're really living up to the task.
That's the reason why, right then, it was the punch we took, that Nigerians have lost faith, lost courage, lost hope in the Nigerian security systems. So I think it's only right that we upgrade our security systems, agency. Well, I feel that we have what it takes. So I feel we actually have what it takes, but I guess we have questions that need to be answered. Why the army, the police are not being proactive as they should be.
Okay, but for me, I'm just wondering, you know, I told over the weekend, I went to my old student reunion, and it's an army school, army secondary school, Mina, Niger State. As a military officer's daughter, you have different schools. We went to different schools because your father has been posted from one end to the other. And so I've witnessed a lot of places in my life, and I've been able to interact with different kind of people. Growing up, we do not have this this kind of news where we live freely in the northern part. I remember when we were posted, my dad was posted in another part. I was in another school, the Federal Government Girls College, BIDA, still in Niger State first. I did my first year in that school before I moved to, you know, I've been moving like that. So we've been coexisting, and there've not been issues like this. I'm sure if there were issues like this, my father wouldn't allow us, you know, move with him, leave Lagos and move with him. So when you begin to hear where this kind of stories where people kill you, you're sleeping, and someone will invade the communities, you begin to wonder what is happening. What is happening in the country? You're wondering, why are we becoming so heartless? And another question is, you have a general. You don't want to know who a general is. I don't want to describe that. In the army. That's the highest, as a president. And someone is telling me the Nigerian army cannot handle this case. I disbelieve. But I know that they can handle it better.
Are there other measures that still need to be put in place as regards security in the country? Do we need to bring in the vigilantes and the joint task force to come in to see how the security can be beefed up in these areas?
Okay, maybe we need to begin to train some vigilantes, some security people. I know that we have private security men.
Yes.
Lots of people are going into security firms, the private one, partnership, even with government. And so I think we need to begin to involve these people.
Certainly.
But we cannot claim to, you know, cover our eyes to say, hey, the military only can handle. They can handle. But you need to bring in people that are trained, the private partnership. These guys are trained. Some of them have to take their workers outside the country for training. Certainly. Some of them brings people, security experts, outside the country to train men. And so what people do now in estates, you know, they employ these guys. They are not military, they are paramilitary. But they are very good. They employ them, and you see that even for your estate, you have to put a call through to whoever you want to see. You can't just come to the estate and say, I want to see Vera. No. Yeah. From the estate gates, they will ask, who do you want to see? And those estates that also have, want you to call in, they will tell you, put on your lights, they will stop you. They've known the cars that goes in and out. So they will say, excuse me, what do you want to see? That interruption can help also. You know, so we need to begin to educate ourselves, as well as making government also, putting it in government shoes, making government know that you need to do a private partnership with people. Yeah,
I do support that, Vera. A public-private partnership in the security firm will go a long way. And still on the vanguard this morning, APC tenure elongation disputes. We will remain neutral, INEC tells court. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, said yesterday it will remain neutral in the suit seeking to void the one-year tenure extension granted National Chairman of the ruling All Progressive Congress, APC, Chief John Odige Oyegun, and other members of the National Working Committee. I don't know what you guys think about this. That's the APC tenure elongation. Yes, INEC telling courts that they are going to be neutral as to carrying out the election of who's going to be taking over the aims of affairs of the party.
Well, that again for me, it's another political advancement in Nigeria where this is coming up again at this point. We never had this tenure elongation. And do you know that Omo Agege was banned with a group of persons there when they brought up this issue? We're going to discuss that fully tomorrow, definitely. We look into that.
All right, before I hand off to Anthony, you can get more on the Vanguard this morning. Presidency, I will succeed Buhari, and that's coming from the Imo State Governor, Rochas Okorocha. And then the $350 million loan, no state will access World Bank facility if Kaduna does not. And that's coming from the governor himself, Nasir El-Rufai. You can find that on page 3 of the Vanguard newspaper. A lot of stories on the Vanguard newspaper. Go get yourself a copy so that you can get a full details about the story. It's over now to Anthony for the Nation newspaper review.
All right, thank you very much. From the Nation's newspaper, we have here 1.28 billion naira spent on cars for Secondus and others. And the writer says it's campaign of calumny claims PDP chairman. I'll take the story. Did the People's Democratic Party National Chairman Prince Uche Secondus benefit from a multi-billionaire oil cash during the Jonathan administration? Documents from the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, obtained by the Nation's newspaper yesterday show that 1.28 billion was spent on acquiring exotic vehicles from him and 2 others. The others are one of his predecessors, Alhaji Adamu Mazu and Senator Albert Bassi. A breakdown showed that Secondus got vehicles or gifts worth 310 million naira, 472.5 million, and 504,500,000 naira for Bassi. Okay, this right here is an allegation, but from the newspaper, from this newspaper, they are saying they actually got reports. They saw reports, hard copy reports, that this money amounts to 1.28 billion spent on cars by Secondus. Now we have people that have not eaten. We have people that don't have people. We have IDPs. We have the economic breakdown in Nigeria, meltdown in Nigeria, and we have right here a politician is spending 1.2 billion.
Well, that's
on cars.
An allegation. We don't know yet. So I won't talk about that until it's proved. Most of the times you hear stories like this. I don't take it.
Well, the agency said they actually saw reports, like they got the reports. Anyway, like you said,
let's wait until it's confirmed.
Until they
it's
bring
confirmed,
it out.
Yes.
It's all good. Okay, here, abductors caught ransom on Otun Olubadon's twins to 10 million naira. That's on page 41. The kidnappers of the twins of Otun Olubadon of Ibadan land, Oba Lekon Balogun, yesterday reduced the ransom for 40 million naira to 10 million naira. The abductors had demanded 100 million to release the twins, a boy and a girl. They initially reduced the amount to 40 million naira. The children were kidnapped last week at gunpoint in Akobo, Ibadan. My heart goes to the Olubadon of Ibadan land, and I think he's been wise. I mean, it's not easy for someone to cut. I mean, he's a very good negotiator. Cut down from 100 million naira down to 10 million, 50 million, then 40 million, then 10 million naira. But I think it's only good that we need to put some kind of systematics into this and capture or kidnap.
No, I don't think this is not a funny one at all.
At all.
When you kidnap people and for ransom, it's something that I don't know how people live their lives. I don't know what comes to mind when you hear that your family is in the den of this heartless human being?
Yeah.
It's so traumatizing. When they begin to bargain, those people doing this kind of, committing this kind of perpetrators, I think government should, I don't know, do something.
I don't know. For me,
I really don't know what to say because it's just wickedness.
For me, I'm looking at it from another perspective. You know, the issue of insecurity in Nigeria is an hot topic. It really baffles me for a monarch to be negotiating with these kidnappers, and we have security agencies in this country. My question is, what are they doing?
Maybe it's not the monarch that is negotiating. Most times the security people are part of this negotiation. Most times.
But should they be
I remember when my friend brother was kidnapped. That's when I can really say, if you have not experienced anybody close to you, you won't understand it.
You won't definitely.
Because the whole house was in
putting yourself in that shoe.
But
come on.
Well, we just hope that those twins come alive from those kidnappers then, and everything necessary thing that needs to be done, be done.
No, but on the roundup for this topic, I feel there should be some kind of systematic intelligence that comes into play that with this negotiation find a way to, you know, nab these abductors. Right here we have court faces May 14 for judgment in APC tenure extension case.
We can't wait for that to happen. Your final story.
One fair dead in police shite clash in Abuja. They were taking the story before, but that's all I'll take for.
Okay, we'll go straight to the Daily Trust, and this says autopsy indicts the Danish man in death of Nigerian wife and child. Remember that man that killed the wife and child. We also have this here, how Neman, ex-DG, 7 directors looted billions. This came in from the presidency. From the Daily Trust, I'm bothered about security, economy, not 2019, Buhari. We also have 115 arrested as police and IMN members clash in Abuja. APC to meet aspirants ahead May 5 president primaries. That's from the Ekiti. Police arrest owner of fake brewery, 4 others. Electricity firm assess 158 billion facility to repay loans. That's the far we can go on this segment. Well, now, away from this segment, we want to look at election rigging, the causes, effects, and solutions. And we expect you to call during this, this segment because it's very important. When we talk about rigging, it means a lot of things to a lot of people. Some people feel very comfortable in rigging, while some people feel if you rig, you are telling the person that has casted his vote or a vote that the person doesn't have a say. If you rig, you're bringing fraud. You're bringing, to me, everything is just wickedness. Because people went there to cast a vote to the right persons of their choice, and you are rigging to take by force what doesn't belong to you. What are the causes of election rigging and the effect you want to know, and also we want you to prefer a solution. We have a guest in the studios. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We want to look at election rigging, the causes, effects, and solutions. Well, excuse me, election rigging can be said to be a terminal cancer disease that has affected democracy. It's not allowing democracy to strive in Nigeria, and we want to look at it this morning. We have our guest in the studio, Phillips Obuse, a convener of I Care. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Vera.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
Fine, fine.
Thank you for having me here.
Yes, we're looking at election rigging. To you, when we say election rigging in Nigeria, what comes to mind?
What will come to my mind immediately will be a group of people trying to truncate the will of the electorate, the will, the desire, the aspiration of the voters, people who have taken out time to come stand in the sun, queue up and leave whatever they are doing to express their will, and a select group of people who have a different aspiration, who have different intention to thwart the will of the people, sit somewhere and circumvent the will of the people to achieve their own personal goals and objectives. I think in simple man's language, that is what comes to mind when we talk about election rigging in Nigeria.
Okay, in Nigeria, if the election was being rigged in Nigeria, coming 2019 election, what's the effect on next year's administration?
The coming administration, you
Yes.
mean? Well, I want you to understand something, that people must understand that there's a relationship between election rigging and the present situation in the country. If election is rigged, the forthcoming 2019 election is rigged, the implication is that the person that will emerge, or the leaders that will emerge after the election, will be people who do not have the mandate of the citizens to come into positions of leadership. But because they have circumvented the rules, they come into position. And by then, they are not, since they are not the people, the ordinary people at the grassroots level have voted for, but they circumvented the rule to come into position, they are not in a position to generally represent the people. So the voters will be shortchanged. They will be unhappy about it.
Well, I'm going to take you through the causes first before we go into 2019 elections.
Okay.
I'm looking at how rigging in Nigeria has really caused a lot of damage. Or it's causing
to our national psyche. Yeah.
Damages to people's psyche.
Yeah.
Looking at that, one can also say that this malady can be classified as a crime.
It is a crime.
Yes,
it is a
it can
crime.
be classified as terrorism. It can be classified as armed robbery at the same time, because it's taking away the joy of democracy in the land.
Yes.
Now, what do you think is the cause of this? Why do we rig elections? What do you think? Why do people rig elections?
To come into power. To come into power, to assume power. To control people. To control resources. Nigeria is a very large country, both in terms of landmass and in terms of population. Nigeria is a very, very large country, and they are with huge resources. So anybody who assumes any position of leadership in Nigeria has come into money. So it is all about power and control of resources. That is why people rig elections, to control the resources.
Could it be because people have said that politicians are taking advantage of desperate Nigerians living in sorry states, in a state of poverty? Can that be part of the reason people take advantage of?
People do that, but those are not the reasons why people rig. The reason why people rig is to come to power and control resources. Now,
I think the question is, why is it possible for Nigerians?
Okay,
why is it possible for...
No, the question I asked is the causes. I said, could it be, because we are trying to explain the causes that people rig because they want to take control of resources. Then I'm saying, for you to take control, you mean that you've taken advantage of something. Could it be that politicians are taking advantage?
Politicians are able to rig.
States of the people. So
politicians are able to rig. because of the sorry state of
that's
the
what
people.
we're saying, the same thing, yes.
So, subsequent leadership, understanding the situation, decide by way, it is not written, to continue to subdue the people and let them remain in a state of hopelessness, so that only they that have access to our national resources, only they who control our national resources are able to dispense goodwill, which the people are of course expecting because they already impoverished. But it is unfortunate that the people do not understand the powers that they have as voters. The people do not understand. If the people get to appreciate their position as voters, that's where the media comes in. If the people get to understand that without them, nobody, the person who is governor will not be governor. Without them, the person who sits in the National Assembly, the Senate, House of Representatives, the person won't be there. It's just that you don't know that you have such power. It's just that people don't know. But from the point we're able to make them to understand that they have such power, that these people ought not to make us to remain in a state of hopelessness, the people will change.
Okay, Uche Secondus alleged that INEC and the APC are colluding with each other to rig 2019's election. What are the observations? What do you have to say about that?
Well, it will be unfortunate for a Nigerian politician to accuse another Nigerian politician of rigging. It is quite important. We have been in the forefront observing elections, monitoring voter registration and things like that. And we know these things happen across board. Uche Secondus, I don't have that information, but if he said so, I will expect the people in APC to respond to that, because all of them come into power by way of rigging. No election. Let that person come out and say that he is certain 100% that his election was 100% free and fair.
Why didn't you believe him? Because remember, Matu said something. He confessed that he said his personal activities and also tendencies in that election he participated. He talked about the rigging.
Yes.
Matu talked about the rigging. And so why will you be doubting if Secondus is saying this is it?
I'm not doubting that he said so. But I'm saying that he that is without sin to cast the stone. All of them, in fact, the Bible said that all have sinned. All of them, there is no way you can come. You see how elections. Okay, Mantu talked about political party rigging.
Yes.
That's most of those rigging you had him talk about. They are post-election rigging. There is rigging during the election, and there is rigging after election.
Okay, let me tell you what he said.
Yes.
He was actively involved in compromising
the
election officials.
Yes.
He talked about the security people, the officers. He talked about agents. He talked about even rival parties. He talked about all of them, INEC.
Yes.
That he was involved in compromising election. How did we get to a state like this, where Nigerians, politicians of all standards, will compromise in this kind of thing?
You see, it is a competition between the political parties to remain in power, to stay in power. It is a competition. And now when you come to power, you acquire wealth illicitly. You acquire wealth illicitly and keep that wealth for the purposes of staying in power, because they know they lack the capacity to perform. They know, most of our leaders know that they lack that capacity to perform. They don't have the wherewithal. They only come into position by reason of rigging. Now, for them to remain in power, they keep a large chunk of the money in place to bribe and compromise the people. That is what actually happens during elections. People, it is not only these officials that are compromised, but also the youth corpers. All of them come with expectations. Even the voters themselves come with high expectations to be bribed.
So what you are saying is the corpers, the agencies, the voters, the electorates,
yes,
they are all into this. They all come out to vote because of money.
They expect it.
They expect
it. The last elections we monitored in Anambra State, everybody else, they were expectant.
So you ask the Nigerians don't really vote according to what they feel who's supposed to be in power, but they just vote.
They know that the politicians have money ready for them on the election day. They know. The voters know. They come expectant. They know the youth corpers that are sent to these centers know they have that expectation.
Okay, speaking of money and all, Dr. Mohammed Chambers did call for regular and adequate funding for the INEC so that these elections could turn out well. Does that mean that the INEC is not funded well? It's not well funded?
Well, the last INEC under Atahiru Jaga, the INEC chairman confessed that this government actually gave us necessary support, including funding. So I don't think it is funding issue. It is the will of the person in position of authority to allow the system to work normally. If you listen to the former governor of Cross River State, Donald Duke, he said that when a state rec is sent to a state, usually they come in empty. They come in empty. They come in empty because the people sending them know that wherever they are going, the governor is expected to take care of them. So the rec that comes in is expectant also that the governor will call. And soon the governor calls and compromises him.
So how did we get to this level? How did we get, at what point do you think we're missing it in democracy?
I think it is at the point that I want to put it at the table of this general economic downturn that has resulted in people being unable to cater for themselves except they cut corners. It is really unfortunate that we have come to a situation where the civil servants, every aspect of the Nigerian economy, the Nigerian system, has to be compromised so that they are able to meet with their needs.
But if we had like a very well sufficient database administration, systematics, I mean, they say numbers don't lie. If it's just a 1 + 1 is a 2 thing, you know, if we had something that viable, you know, policies and all that, the regulations put in place, would there be
people will always find ways to compromise the system because we don't have strong institutions, because the INEC is not strong. It is not without the influence of the government in power, both past INEC, both the present INEC. When the system is, or the institution is not very strong, it is not able to withhold or withstand the pressure from the government in power.
Words, INEC is not strong. It's not a strong agency.
Virtually every other institution in Nigeria is not very strong.
Okay, I know that you are a barrister.
Yes.
You are a legal practitioner, and that's taking me to the weak judiciary system, or to our judiciary system. Don't let me just stamp it weak. If they rig, and you go and, you know, if you're doubting the result, you're supposed to go to the courts, to the tribunal.
Yes.
Do we have a strong judicial system that can prove you right or wrong?
You see, most of the...
We'll allow you to go on this break now, a quick break. And when we come back, I want you to take that, because we have to begin to look at these causes, things that have brought us to this level where we are today. Let's go on a quick break and we'll be right back. Welcome back. Yes, you were about telling us why and how it has, why it's happened this way, or why it's happening this way.
Yeah, you asked about the judiciary.
The judiciary,
and
yes.
I think most often people misunderstand going on in the judiciary. Most times the challenge is not with the judiciary, but with the people that brings the matter before the courts. I was listening to the radio while I was coming here, and they were accusing the judiciary of corruption and things like that. I'm not saying that there are no corruptions in the judiciary, but you see, when the people, the police or EFCC or the agency that is prosecuting has not done a very thorough job, when people come to polling booths to vote and get bribed and compromised, they don't come out openly sharing money. But if you are
around the vicinity,
if you are around the vicinity, you will notice that things are happening here. That market is going on like the stock exchange. If you just sit down somewhere and observe the environment, you understand. So if you come out openly to just pick up anybody and accuse the person of having collected money and things like that, the person will deny, and it becomes a case of your word against his own. So you have a challenge in that aspect. It is not usually, or in all cases, a fault.
But let me tell you why I brought in the judiciary, and I want you to explain if you say it's not a fault. The INEC has given you a frame time. There's a time belt,
yes,
within which you must take your case there, and otherwise you remain silent.
Yes.
And that period, when people have said, I've seen a lot of politicians, they take their case there and say, please tender this, because it's a time frame. It doesn't happen that way. They keep, it's a bit slow when you get there.
Because
and before you
of
could
the
say
number of
Jack
cases.
Robinson, the time is gone. So you lost it. Why do we have a slow system where we know that there's a particular time frame for this judgment?
When there is a time frame for you to bring a matter before the court, and you don't bring it before the court,
if they bring it, that's what I'm telling you. Some people have brought it before the time, but the people preceding this thing, I don't know how it's done on the law court.
No, I don't think that is possible.
And they will tell you, oh, you didn't tender it in time.
No, I don't think that is possible, that a matter that was brought within time, that is not brought out of time, a matter that comes in within time will be, anything will happen to it because it wasn't brought. No, if it was brought within time, it was brought within time.
Okay, what's the effect of election rigging in Nigeria? What's that? The effect
is the current poverty that is pervading the land. The effect is the current poor road networks that we have, potholes everywhere. The effect is lack of electricity. The effect is lack of pipe-borne water across our lands from state to state. The effect is lack of quality education, lack of quality Medicare. And I am here to let Nigerians know that if they continue to get bribed, if they continue to accept bribe, whether it is Indomie, whether it is T-shirts, whether it is 500 naira you accept to vote for a particular person against your wish or your desire, but because you have collected, you see, these politicians know how to do this. They don't come to us. During the last election, I was in Georgia, and I saw the way these politicians come from house to house to talk to people. The last presidential election, the current President Buhari, and even the former President Goodluck Jonathan, I think they came to Lagos only once or twice. It was at the stadium. It was at the stadium. How would they elect? They spent less than, it was music. Ayinde Barrister was playing and playing and playing and playing until the president came with a large entourage on the podium, and they spoke for less than 10 minutes or 20 minutes, and the whole thing was done. Money is shared to the people that came, and everybody goes their way happy. The president has not told me anything that he intends doing.
But
the government has not told me
heard
anything.
his manifesto?
Beyond manifesto, the people, our leaders ought to be in a position to interface with us, to discuss, to tell us. They don't get to tell us. How many of the area boys and people around, people at the grassroots level, read the party manifestos?
So shouldn't we react to it positively? Shouldn't we have asked that shouldn't we have insisted that we need you to talk to us?
You see, the way these things have been framed shortchanges the people at the grassroots level. That is why we are going from place to place. Number one, encouraging people to stop this idea of collecting. You can, if you have personally decided to collect something, then you lack the capacity to ask questions. After all, they've told us that those that are eating observe good table manners. If you are eating and you are accepting money and you are accepting every other thing, then you can't ask questions. The people who are in the position to ask questions are the people that have not collected money.
Okay, right now, we understand we are in a global village and our tax system should be improved by now in Nigeria. The Deputy Senate President said that he encourages Nigeria to involve more technical know-hows, to involve more technology, systems, and communications, so that in conducting this election, especially in the pollings, so that the rigging would reduce, or there will not even be any rigging of election. And my question is this: when you take a cue from JAM, where students could not even log in for their passwords, there was this internet failure. Is Nigeria really ready for an election that has to do with the polling and all of that has to do with technology? Are we really there yet? Wouldn't this upgrade the rigging system?
Well, I will say yes and no. I will say yes because virtually every other Nigerian today has access to mobile phones, and these are technologies. They have access to internet and other things. I will say to a very large extent, Nigerians are coming to terms and this thing with current technology that is everywhere. But I will also say, because of lack of infrastructure, especially electricity, the INEC, because they have to send electoral officers to the hinterlands, to backsides of the society, where we don't have so much access to electricity and internet and other technology, it will be difficult for us to organize our elections 100% based on technology. It will really be difficult.
So in other words, we are not there yet.
We are not there yet.
Okay, looking at the upcoming elections in 2019, what are the solutions? What are the steps you think we need to begin to look at come 2019?
Leading ahead of 2019, leading to 2019, presently we have ongoing, the continuous voter registration by INEC is going on everywhere in the country. First of all, the starting point should be encouraging the people to go to vote, because we need a comprehensive, up-to-date voter register if we desire to have authentic elections come 2019. And there is no way we can have that except the people go out to vote, to register to vote. Now, it is beyond going out to register to vote. The people also must make sure that they verify their names on the voters register. That is where our organization comes in. The International Campaign Against Rigged Elections. That's the organization ICAE. The International Campaigns Against Rigged Elections is working specifically in the area of ensuring that there is free and fair elections.
Yes.
In Nigeria, we send out our officials, our volunteers, to go from voters registration centers.
Let me come in there. Volunteers during elections, especially the polling units. You know, the INEC employs corpers, and they staff temporarily. They staff people temporarily. Fine, we know INEC does not really have as much manpower to do all of that. But don't you think this, or do you think that this staffing, temporary staffing, actually aids rigging of election?
It actually aids rigging of election, because I have really thought that the people, that's the youth corpers, calling them up as if they are military reserves each time there is an election is not helping matters, because 1 week orientation or thereabout is not enough to put them in the mood.
Sorry, I'll come back to you. There's a caller. Hello, good morning to you. Good morning to you. What's your name and where you calling from? What's your name and where you calling from? Ajangbadi. Ajao, okay. What's your name? Okay, go ahead.
And then they need to figure out how they are going to achieve every goal or manifesto that they have put down. I think we need that level. To that level, Nigerians should be fully educated, and then they will now begin to see the meaning of politics. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Yes.
I didn't quite.
We didn't get you. It wasn't very clear, but just go ahead.
Yeah, I was trying to say that when these youth corpers are brought in, they are not properly trained. They don't have that lesson. So I started thinking, why can't INEC, before elections, not this use of youth corpers who don't get to be properly trained to understand the challenges that the country needs, the country is facing. Why not before that time to begin training volunteers specifically for that purpose ahead of time?
If you say train volunteers, that's what he's saying. The volunteers you're training, can they be used as well against the elections?
It can be used. The volunteers can be used. Yes, they can be used, but that will be a different ball game from sending out volunteers who lack sufficient knowledge of the challenges.
Is it really? It is the problem lacking the knowledge, or the politicians penetrating into region through these volunteers? I mean, you bring up a staff that you probably haven't known before. The INEC staffs are people that have been staffed. They work day and night with INEC. You understand? And now you're bringing somebody from outside just for a short period of time.
Because of, I guess, because of staff strength.
I think what he's trying to say.
But what he's saying now is INEC staff are already trained.
Yeah.
And you're bringing someone they're not enough. So how do we get to see a free and fair elections without rigging? Remember those days you hear where people snatch ballot boxes through the sea?
Yeah.
Where people just run away with ballot boxes, and where even now the thumb printing, the print in the machine, it's even another challenge.
It's another challenge of
It's another challenge where people take it somewhere and just thumb print and bring it back and all of that. How can we really have a free and fair elections with all of these things?
Now we have
what can the people do?
Let me tell you something, Vera. I have been promoting a concept called the social contract. I've been advocating that the electorates demand that each of the politicians coming to them must swear to an affidavit in court. Whatever promise you want to make to the people, don't just use your mouth to make the promise. Let your campaign poster contain in a section of it your sworn affidavit, sworn to the court, so that when you betray the trust of the people, somebody like me can pick up your campaign poster from 2 years back and proceed with your affidavit in court that you lied. You lied to me, you swore to an affidavit. Now, unless we begin to generate ideas that will curtail the excesses of these people, unless politicians begin to swear to affidavits of their campaign promises, when they make this, somebody told me, what of the oath of office of Mr. President? Is that not, do I have access to it? I need something that I can lay my hands upon. The point is that election rigging is a disease, a cancer within our country. But everybody must play a part, starting from this voter registration now. The voters must be willing to go out. They must be willing to go out and register, verify their names on the register, because if you get registered but your name is not on the voters list, it's a different ball game. Those are the cards, excess cards that politicians buy. You hear INEC announce that we have 2 million voters cards uncollected. Uncollected by whom? These are the cards that the politicians will go to buy and bulk and complete it
So
themselves.
what do you think we can do with those uncollected voters' cards?
It is for people, if you have registered, make out time to go and collect your voter's card.
I know that you have this organization, you call it
ICARE,
that goes round to monitor elections. What are the challenges you've seen with electorate when they go out?
The challenges the electorates face are many. They face many challenges. There has been complaints of the machines failing. We have experienced that machines failing. We have experienced the challenge of inadequate manpower from INEC to vote. We have also experienced the challenge of so many people being available to register, but the INEC unable to register these people. These challenges are many, and unless we continue to talk about it, the media will have to talk about it, the political parties will have to do something about it. INEC, in fact, every stakeholder. Yesterday, we were with the National Orientation Agency. We planned a road rally to sensitize the people on the need to become more and more interested. In other climes, every citizen knows it is his or her civic responsibility to stand up and go to cast his vote. But here in Nigeria, that day is the day some people play football. That is the day for some people to watch films.
We need to cast our votes there.
Yeah.
When we talk about rigging, there have been allegations that this person, that politician, that party was involved in rigging of election. Why don't we have a judiciary system that looks into this? Fine, they need to be charged, obviously, but why don't we have a system that once one case comes up, once one report comes up, it is being followed, investigations are being made, and some party, somebody is brought to book.
Remember, the judiciary will not activate itself. The judges will not suddenly start sitting on a case because they heard about it on the television.
That's the judiciary. But
the judiciary, it is me and you who will bring up a petition, or who will. Many of the cases we have heard about, if you talk to EFCC, they will tell you that there is no petition before them. The citizens have not become active players.
So how can they be?
No,
what can we do come 2019?
That is what ICARE is doing. The International Campaign Against Rigged Elections is going from place to place. That's why I told you that in collaboration with National Orientation Agency, Lagos Directorate, 2 weeks from now, we are embarking on mass sensitization of the people. The people will have to understand that there's a relationship between them refusing to get voters card and the current difficulties we are facing. The people will have to understand that there's a relationship between the bribe they collect, the indomie they collect, the bag of rice they collect. There's a relationship between they collected, we all collected, every Nigerian collected 3 years ago, and 3 years thereafter we are suffering and we are complaining.
But looking at this Mantu's case, the confession and the rest, we've not seen anybody being persecuted and being jailed for election malpractices in this country. Why is it like that?
There are many challenges, clogs in that wheel. You understand me? I just told you now. Mantu made a confession. Have you challenged any authority to do something about it? Nobody has challenged Mantu. Nobody has brought up a petition. Nobody has said anything about it. And so you don't expect the court to one judge to suddenly send the sheriffs to go and arrest Mantu. Whatever that will happen, beyond arresting Mantu, I think somebody like Mantu, and even it's not just Mantu, the former Cross River State governor, who gave a detailed analysis of how these things happen within the government circle. These people should be invited, if not for any other thing, for them to do an expose. You know, they should be invited so that we learn from what they have said for subsequent elections.
Okay, we need to wrap up. Okay.
The last question. The Director of Communications and Informations of INEC said that most of this rigging starts from between the polling units and where it's being collated. Or the collation center itself. What system, if this is true, like it's very hard for the rigging to start happening from the polling units, if this is actually true, what should be done, you know, to secure the collating centers to stop this rigging?
Remember that whatever government that is in power controls the police, controls the INEC, controls everything. There is so little that the people can do. But the only thing I know that can be done to curtail this is for the people to become watchful. If you have voted, then trail the votes. If you have voted, make sure that from the polling booth where you have casted your vote, that the votes are counted and pasted according to the dictates of the Electoral Act, that they are pasted there. You will be certain that the number of people that voted are the number of people that reflects on the final result. And when it is moved from that side, you follow it. When the but I must admit that we are not where we used to be with respect to elections before. There was a time that people don't vote at all. There was a time that whatever you do, talks will come in there.
We have to, no, continue, but we have to wrap up now.
There was a time, so we are not where we used to be. But presently going forward, leading to the 2019 general elections, our message is that the people should stop this demand they place on our elected officials. The people place so much demand. You meet the House of Reps member, you see the number of people that flocks around him when he comes around. They ask for school fees, they ask for medical care.
We must wrap up now. Final word from you.
Final words. The 2019 general election is by the corner, and the international campaigns against rigged elections is calling on all Nigerians to do whatever they can to go register to vote. Not only registering to vote, to also verify their names, that their names are on the voters list. Then we'll move from there.
I want to thank Obuesi Phillips, the convener, I Care. Thank you for coming on this segment
Thank
of the
you so
program.
very much. Thank you for having me.
Well, viewers at home, this is the last segment, but we also have another one outside this, and that's the sports segment. Loads of things happened over the weekend, and we started talking about it yesterday. We talked about Prince Willow Vieson, talked about the Commonwealth medals and the rest, and now we have another sports segment. You're going to enjoy it. Don't go away. We'll be right back.